that 9 out of 10 did. So, with more than 6.2 million Americans seeing their plans canceled, it looks to me like we're getting a lot more people losing insurance than getting insurance. To reporter Lachlan Marquet, who's been digging all of this much better than I. Monica Crowley says she's sick of it because she doesn't like where this is all going. But let's get the read from you, Lachlan, how bad this is, because the numbers are a lot worse than we're led to believe. These aren't new enrollees. These are mostly existing coverage enrollees swapping to different coverage.
Right. Well, the administration, of course, is going to play up the number that looks best for them. So they're going to try to make it seem as if as many people as they can have signed up for insurance. But as you say, this sort of makes clear that it's not as much of a rush to the exchanges and to the expanded Medicaid program as we're led to believe. And, we're seeing similar sort of games with numbers in Medicaid as well, with the administration sort of touting this 4 million signups number. The actual number as a result of the expansion is probably only about 200,000. So, this is sort of an ongoing campaign.
How do we get from the 4 million figure, their figure, to the 200,000 that's your figure?
This was actually some calculations that Sean Trend at Real Clear Politics did, which was some very impressive wonkery. And what he essentially said was, well, you have to only look at the states where Medicaid is actually being expanded. So you go from about 4 million down to about 1.9 million. And when you look at the scale of the expansion, we're really only talking about 200,000 people, give or take.
Monica, I got to tip my hat to you, because long before these numbers rise, that it's going to be very tough for them to make the math and to make up for what will be people losing their insurance. Now, to compound it, we have these signing up are actually mostly those who had coverage switching or being forced to switch to this coverage.
Right.
So net, we're down millions.
Yes, that's exactly right. Remember when this whole Obamacare policy was being sold to the American public, Neil, they said, look, we have between 30 and 40 million people who are currently uninsured. This is going to go a long way to covering those people. Once it was signed into law, then all of a sudden you started getting studies and even the administration itself coming out and saying, gosh golly, even after Obamacare, we're still going to have about 30 million people uninsured. So what was the point of this whole exercise except to have the entire thing eventually implode on itself to get us to single payer, which would be in some form universal coverage, but it would be socialized medicine.
Amazing. Another number I've seen bandied about, Lachlan, you might know more of this than I, this argument that we had 48 million uninsured, not 30 million. But by making that number bigger, you can then say, well, we had brought that number down, when in fact, I don't know how we upped it from 30 to 48 million in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, that was, going all the way back to the initial healthcare debate in 2009, 2010, it was always sort of a point of contention, who should qualify there, who should not. I'm not sure if the administration's really playing around with that number as much, but in any case, there's going to be a very large number of people who continue to be uninsured, even if the law is implemented exactly as planned. You're still talking maybe 20, 25 million. So just from the perspective of the administration's own central objective, it seems to, not quite go as far enough as we were led to believe.
We upended everything, Monica, you think about it, to insure more people. Now we have a lot more uninsured people.
Yeah, you could have dealt with all of the problems in the healthcare system, rising costs, competitiveness, the rising cost of premiums and deductibles and so on, all of which were very real problems. You could have dealt with that, Neil, without socializing, nationalizing essentially 1/6 of the U.S. economy. That's why you have to look to what the real motivation and the real objective of Obamacare really was. It had nothing to do with addressing healthcare or rising costs or health insurance. None of that came into play. This was a purely ideological move by this administration in order to gain control over 1/6 of the U.S. economy, because the healthcare sector, that is the largest single lever that they could have to move the entire American economy away from a free market-based economy toward a European-style socialist system. They've done it in other aspects of the economy as well, in energy, the industrial base and so on, the financial sector, but the healthcare sector was the biggest of them all, and that's why they went for it. They don't really care about your health insurance or your health care, because that was not the ultimate objective.
Well, right now we're at the ultimate irony of more people uninsured than were the case before this. All right, Monica, thank you. Lachlan, thank you.
You bet.